Ladies and gentlemen, that was my bad. I lost track of time for a second. Downstairs helping the girls. I looked at it and I sprinted. All right, so it's good to see you guys. Colby, you brought so many of us together and restored my faith in humanity. Awesome, Faith. So yeah, we're gonna go over some stuff today, I guess, daytime. We're gonna go into I was scrolling through the playlist. So somebody did mention and asked, are you doing this in exact chronological order? And the answer is no. I did assume we were gonna be able to get through the whole trial, and then when you go through it, there's so much in there. There's no shot we're gonna be able to do all that. And that's okay. It's just too long of a. There's so much. Yeah, I keep remembering. There's so much fill in for the jury, so you grab everybody you can possibly get, and that's okay. Like that's what they have to do. That's their job, and so not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this is their fault, right? We don't have the time to really review everything that I'd like to. So that here we've just kind of tried to keep it as whatever the word would be. We're trying to keep it as, I guess, important as possible. We definitely don't want to try to spend so long. Cindy, that is awesome. I've always wanted to go to Greece. Like that's a dream destination. I've always wanted to go to Greece. So it's good to have you here. It's all good. It's all good. We love you being here, but if you can't be here, it's okay. We all need some prayers for at Faith in the chat. You guys, if you guys can pray for Faith, that'd be amazing, man. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for being such a beautiful community. And we're gonna get going here. So what I got today, first, we're just gonna review. I heard the idea that Chad gave. We talked about this. Chad gave Alex Cox a patriarchal blessing. So I'm gonna give you some context. I did last time, but now that I saw in the playlist, I'm like, I have to hear this. I didn't know it was recorded and everybody heard it. I didn't know that. I thought people just had heard what had happened. This is gonna be pretty ridiculous because this is sick stuff, man. The LDS church has a very specific person when you are LDS that gives these blessings. They are like, whatever the word is, but they specifically do this. This is their job. Like they literally give these blessings, and they're not an average church going person. And what the LDS church believes, from what I remember, is that they like set someone up as that entire thing. So with that, you have to understand this is outside of LDS lore for Alex. He should know that. Alex obviously was looking for someone to tell him whatever this is. I don't know how he convinced him that he had this power of all these things, but it looks like that's where we're at. So he allowed Chad Daybell to lay his hands on his head and give him a blessing, which is, if you're LDS, you would definitely have some red flags there, because that doesn't just happen. So we are going to watch that blessing right now, and then what we're going to do is, I'm gonna pull this around because my hair is hot. So you have to understand that that's exactly how this works. So we're going to listen to that, and then we're going to listen to David Warwick's, who was with Melanie Gibb when, I think it was the night of when JJ was killed by them, and he was there. So that's where we're at right now. Not going to be a fun one, but I don't know anything about him. Only I know his name. So let's just jump in, man. Let's jump in. This blessing's about to be ridiculous. I know it for a fact. No, but I did see him at court one time. They're supporting Chad. Again, I don't have, no matter what they say about me, I'm trying not to hold a grudge or try to talk bad about them. I just said, you're talking crap about me and other people, but like the actions that you have with Lori, maybe you were deceived or whatever, but there should be red flags. And I don't want to try to sit here and create more hate towards anybody, but I was definitely frustrated. I just saw that Ryan said, where'd it go? Ryan said, get the swear jar ready. I can't find it right. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I did. I went off yesterday, man. Told you guys I was gonna try to be better about it, but sometimes you just gotta let that anger out. I should just do it in a more healthy way. Yes, absolutely. My heart is broken over that situation too. A lot of people with our mods have been talking about it. You guys have brought it up in our chats. It's just hard, man. It's just hard, like, to watch stuff like that happen, and you just feel helpless, and all you can really do is just pray for them. That's all we really can do. I wish we could do more. Maybe we can do like a charity stream if they have any way to do that. Maybe we'll stream and just do a charity stream for them. Maybe we can give them that support. I know you can do that on YouTube. I've never done it, but if I figure out how to do it, maybe if you guys are down, we'll do it and just try to help with whatever we can do for them. But we're gonna get into this. Let's pop in. Let's go. This is about 15 minutes, and then we'll go into David Warwick's. Yeah, guys, I really do mean it. Like, I got to keep myself over here chilled out. So the swear jar's got to come out. I'll have to go to Target and grab it. All right, let's jump in. It's good to see you guys.
Chat day, though. It is November 24th, 2019, Sunday afternoon, 5:15 p.m.
What the frick?
Alex, Lamar Cox, and Patriarchal Blessing.
Was that Lori? What the hell was that? That was creepy. Who said that? That's definitely Lori. She sounds like she just freaking woke up. I do not have options. What's ambient mode? I don't have the options for... Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to figure that out. I don't have the options for it. Can't turn on captions.
Alexander Lamar Cox. On this special day, I lay my hands upon your head to give you a patriarchal blessing. As part of the member of the Church of the Firstborn, that you have earned the privilege to be a member of. I do so by the power of the Melchizedek priesthood, which
He just said, as a member of the Church of the Firstborn, not LDS. What? What are we talking about here? That's not LDS.
I hold, and in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior, who has authorized this blessing, I is grateful that you are receiving it as you move forward in your life. You are a member of the house of Israel, with the 12 tribes, and you are a descendant of Joseph through the tribe of Ephraim, which grants you.
Where'd you get that information? You just tell them who they are?
Many blessings, particularly of spreading the gospel in these latter days and protecting and preserving those who seek to learn the truth, and that has been your mission on this earth, and it will now expand into ways that we will discuss further in the blessing. I want to begin by opening up.
Mind you, right now, Chad is singularly holding his hands like this on top of Alex's head, just slow talking, pulling stuff out. That's crazy. Yeah, this is a dead voice. If you've ever heard a non-inflection, no life in you, this is the example I'd pull up. Say, bro, this voice is the most monotone and absolutely no inflection. Zero.
Portals of time.
Oh my gosh. Portals of time. How do you hear this and believe this? By the way, can you guys hear it? It sounds really quiet in my headphones. I just want to make sure you can actually hear it, because I have no other options to turn it up. It's full. Oh, it actually does go up, Colby, you idiot. Okay, here we go. Hopefully that's even a little bit better.
Your previous creations on which you've lived I see you on the third creation as a valiant warrior, fighting for truth and righteousness.
Okay, hold on. So he's told everyone that Alex was a first time creation and then changed his mind so he could be more powerful and told them, no, sorry, I misread that one. You're a third time creation. Does that not throw you off as the person hearing that?
Always seeking to do what is right. And you progressed and were selected by the Savior himself to be part of the fourth creation. Great warriors were needed in that creation. Powerful goddesses were needed to be protected, and you were selected.
Get the out of here. Goddesses? Ain't no Christian goddesses, brother. Ain't no LDS goddesses. That doesn't happen. Read your Bible. Oh my gosh.
To help protect your sister. And you helped her in numerous probations as a defender. You have a special bond even from the pre-mortal world. You connected there. And as she grew in power, you were right there beside her, always. With a humble heart. You both always were so humble.
Get out of here. Yeah, you're real humble. You're real humble people. So down to earth, right? You didn't murder your family for money. You didn't do all these things. You're such humble, good people.
So as this fifth creation began, after you had been exalted in the fourth creation,
So he's on his fourth life.
Gone on to exaltation with Holly. Resurrected being, you accepted the Savior's invitation one more time to come to this low realm, to condescend as a God.
Get the hell out of here. Ray. Oh man, I can't believe this. I can't believe it. I am baffled. So he tells you, you accepted the Savior's invitation to come back. Not only did you accept the Savior's invitation to come back, you have now become a god. Now, we're watching Dragon Ball Z Super right now, right? And in this whole thing, they have gods. They call themselves, this god, whatever. It's all BS, right? It's all BS and all this stuff because what is the word God? In that show, there's like higher ranking God people, whatever they call themselves. It's fiction, but to tell someone who supposedly believes in God and Jesus, that you are a God, now are you equal to God? Are you a lesser God? My gosh. You're the God of idiots. That's for damn sure.
To help us. You have already assisted us in ways that can never be repaid. You will continue to do so as you move forward in this life.
Eating a frog out of a dish.
You were born into a family that needed you desperately, with a set of parents who spoke of the gospel with their mouths, yet did not live it.
The gospel of what? The gospel of what? The gospel of what? What gospel?
And once again, you were reunited with a sister who needed you to survive such an environment. In no way was it a reflection on either one of you that you lived in that home. You were put there to help each other persevere. lessons you had to learn in your youth have now made you both strong, powerful servants of the Lord that would not have occurred in a traditional LDS home. You had to go to great depths to achieve tremendous heights. And the fruits of
Your depths you went to were self-inflicted depths. You didn't this is not, oh, God's put you through a lot. He gives his biggest battles to his strongest warriors. Hell no. You're not being punished or jobed by God. You put yourself in a lot of those positions. And now you're trying to pretend that that is somehow, this is all planned. You're this God who's been through so much. If you're a God, do something. Do it. Exactly. Exactly, bro. That's so wild to do this, to say this stuff.
those trials are beginning to be demonstrated. You were granted to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that was a strength to you. You learned about your Savior and grew closer to Him, and rekindled in some ways the connections you've always had with Him. And through adulthood, you've refined yourself. And I just want you to know that at this time the Savior is saying it to me, well done.
These are two, I'm sorry to say this, these are two people without a lot going on up here. There's not a lot going on up there. It's worse, though, to be the giver. It's worse for Chad. He's the one who's completely blasphemous beyond all belief. Alex is wrong. He always will be. There's no justifying what Alex did. But also, Alex was even worse than Chad as far as maybe intelligence or whatever you want to call it. Homie did not, at least Alex, and again, this is not to defend Alex, but Alex was at least believing it somewhat. I think that's the only reason he did it. What you have going on right here, though, is Chad manipulating Alex to make him feel special. This is what he did. He made people feel special so he could get them to carry out the BS that he's on. Hairspray and enchiladas or firework residue. My favorite thing ever, Trina says, she goes, yeah, and guess there must have been fireworks shooting out the back. I was like, just get her, bro. Just use her own logic against her. Some of these people are so stupid. You just say exactly what they said without even having to try to defend the fact that it's stupid.
So, it's cleansed. All is well. And now you'll begin into your terrestrial phase of this existence. That you'll be a powerful servant.
Terrestrial is for LDS lore, for people who are LDS, the terrestrial is your third kingdom of heaven. So if you guys don't know what that is.
I bless you with that knowledge that you will now move forward as a true warrior in ways that can be demonstrated through
Who's
not
in the
only
garage?
physical action, but through
Thank you, Kieran.
spiritual power that is coming to you.
Yes,
will be bestowed upon you.
She spoke in the background. You could hear her at the very beginning.
I bless you with the knowledge that through marriage you'll be united with a...
I think that they were having an Evan Almighty moment here. That's about as real as religious as this gets.
Partner who will match your powers and complement your strengths. You'll be known throughout the world for your good-heartedness, your willingness to save souls all over the world through portals.
You're gonna save souls through portals? and that did not ring, you're going to portal jump and save souls by becoming a murderer. What's wrong, honey? Oh, what happened here? Hold on, guys. I'll play it for you. I'm still listening. I'll put me off the screen.
Gather the souls that come unto Christ. I see you in New Jerusalem, but more importantly, I see you as a messenger of the Lord. Surrounding New Jerusalem will be many small communities where people will come who aren't quite ready to enter those.
Sorry, we had some sister problems there.
Missions will be to go among the people and testify as a prophet.
Get out of here.
That they can make it.
Oh, don't start crying now, you B word. Get the hell out of here. What are you crying for? This is where, oh, bro, this is where I'm going to tell you. I might be the most passionate about it. Do not let someone who is emotional pretend that they are godly. Just because someone freaking cries, just because somebody's having a movement, there's a difference between the Holy Spirit and an emotion. The thing is, there's almost a routine to this where the crying comes in and you just like, it's so real, it's emotional. It's not always about your emotions and feelings. Be careful with that. Your feelings can easily be manipulated. People can get their feelings more manipulated. And so for Chad to start crying, Chad cares nothing. He doesn't freaking care. Chad has no God in him. So be careful because, like, look, you could easily go and think, oh, he's crying. It's so overwhelming. It's so emotional. It's kind of like when people, and I'm very careful when I say this stuff, but like people doing over the top things and using it as a spiritual experience rather than you know what I mean? Like, this is not a spiritual experience. We all know that. This is not spiritual. He's not a prophet. There's no portals. There's none of that garbage. So no, this isn't a spiritual moment, but the emotional manipulation to make Alex feel that way is why it can have more of a burden to someone, especially if you're an emotional person. Be careful. That's all I'll say. Be careful with your feelings versus your moment that you're having with God. It's not the same thing. It's just not.
Your own experiences of overcoming adversity.
Exactly, dude.
Through your example, they will rise up. You will give tremendous blessings to them, raise their vibrations.
Get the fuck out of here. He went on and tried to murder. He murdered 4 people and tried to kill Brandon. And he's a good vibrator. He's a good vibrating guy who's going to change the world in portal jump. What planet are we on? What movie are we watching tonight? Frick out of here.
Be like a brother to many of these fathers who may have had doubts, but through your strength, they will look to you as a hero, and you'll bring entire families that have been sanctified to the gate.
Shut up, dude. He's going to hell, so I'm not even trying to be funny about that. What was the date? Like November 14th, 15th, something like that. So he finished all, right? No. Yeah, that's everybody, right? Everybody was already attempted by November. So November 8th, 14th, 15th, whatever they said. I don't remember. If you guys remember, you can put it in there. But he said this after he killed everybody. Yeah. Not at all. That's the logic. That's the logic here. You're going to vibrate all over the world doing good. You're a warrior, going to portal jump. He about to say, I just heard him as he was going. He said, you're going to lead all these families to the gates of heaven by killing everybody?
In Jerusalem, they will be allowed in on your word.
What was that? Won't be so many. It's exactly what that motherfucker just said. Let's try that again.
They will be allowed in on Colby, swimming.
What are you doing? This is not tongues. You are speaking pure gibberish. This is satanic. And that's not funny, but he just tried. I think he tried to speak in tongues for real. That's so blasphemous to God. You can't make it up. That speaking in tongues is not you going. Yes. Hold on. I hope everybody who knows anything about the Bible is listening to this and never ever let a human being talk to you like this and believe it. You ready?
Jerusalem, they will be allowed in on your word.
Hold on, here we go.
Colby, swimming.
Oh my gosh. I can't handle this. So stupid. You have to have a brain. I can't. This is so bad, dude. This is so bad. I'm sorry. That got me, man. Whew, that one got me. That was he made just gibberish. Imagine crying and someone says, oh, please tell me he does it again.
Wonderful experiences you'll have.
He did not speak English. Hold on, I got it one more time.
Doubts and blessings to them. Raise their vibrations. Other strength. They will look to you as a hero.
Well, sorry, one more time. Just so you hear it.
Bring entire families that have been sanctified to the gates.
Ready?
In Jerusalem, they will be allowed in on your word.
By the way, he just gave a last day prophecy that based off of Alex's words, people will be able to get into either heaven. He says the gates are also could be Zion at the end. That's what he just said. Literally.
Okay, swimming. Wonderful experiences you'll have. I see you doing that often, that then based on assignments, you might go further into the world. Always serving, always a missionary. With your companion, you.
Now he's a missionary for the LDS Church or the Church of Firstborn. He's gonna have a companion. You just send people on a 2-year mission if you want to, huh? Hot dog eating motherfucker.
You'll know where to be before natural disasters happen. You can be on location to protect key leaders, church leaders, and to preserve who should survive. Little children, I see you gathering little children in your house. Saving them from.
I'm having a hard time getting over that. I'm sorry. That was so out of pocket. Me swimming in me, baby. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me slow down. Why is he crying? I have such a disdain for this man, but to hear how dumb this dude is actually so bad it's comical. And again, I told you, I have tried to always forgive. You have to. I personally think you try to work through the forgiveness. I'm very upset with these people right now listening to what they did. But he starts crying. He's making it up. This is all bullshit, and he's crying. Swimming in like, why are you crying at yourself? He's selling a product right now. He is selling you a product that he is some kind of spiritual thing. This is a copy paste, trying to mimic a patriarchal blessing from the LDS church with adding in all of his other stuff. And then to solidify you, he starts crying. It's kind of it's on cue. That's how good this dude is at you got to give him credit for one thing. He's very manipulative, and they believed. Oh, you said that at the same time. They believed him. You can't cry at your. Imagine me telling you a fake story, and I just go, just start crying. I made it up. Why would I cry?
Just having a collage of moments that await you in this life, rescuing the pure and innocent, leading them to safety. Dozens of instances, and you are looked upon as an angel on earth.
Right?
You literally glow for those who are allowed to see you.
Yeah. You hold your you don't go Super Saiyan 2 until they're allowed to see you transform into your real power. This is my real form. This is just as much lore as you get with a TV show. The more power stuff, the true form crap, the whole portal thing. This is so stupid. So stupid.
And those mortals who aren't allowed to see that will know through the spirit of the great power.
Yeah, I've heard that. Actually, I did a little bit of research on it too. I think though they still made their own version of it.
The proper time, after many years of service in such ways.
Yeah, why not portal jump out? Leave. Go in your portal and jump out. Why'd you have to stay? Lori went from I'm gonna be exonerated or I'm gonna get out of here to I'm gonna, now I'm in here because God's will. Yeah, just change your mind every time it's convenient to anything. Alex was a firstborn, newborn, and then he was on his fourth life out of nowhere. Imagine telling you that you believe it, you accept that person. By the way, Alana, you're right. There's nothing in that dude's voice except for crying, apparently. Apparently he can force tears because there's no shot he feels any type of spirit right now. But yeah, just if you came up to somebody as a spiritual leader, a prophet, a God figure, a God, and he goes, "This is your first time on earth." He's like, "No, hold on, mistake. It's your fourth." Like, "Oh yeah, no, you must have you got more revelation today." No, you didn't.
As the second coming approaches, you will know when it's time to move to the other side. This body that has served you well will lay down one day.
Ugh.
Yes, your spirit will leave this body and you'll be greeted wholeheartedly and welcomed by the Savior himself. You already know him. But that reunion will take place on a greater plane.
He told him he's gonna die and move on. Then homie died. The next damn day? Holy crap. He told him you're gonna die right there. You're gonna die and move on. That is not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. That is not a no. Red flag on the play. I wonder. No, you can't. How could you? Let's just sit here for a second, man. There's no shot that you could. I don't know how you could take your life and not have some kind of specific thing like a poison not be registered. Number one. Number two, how could you give yourself blood clots? That would be so wild to take something that would make you die so horribly. You know what I mean? Let's just like, again, I also believe that God can do anything, but they're not worshiping God or talking about God here. So let's zoom out for a second. Who tells you you're gonna die and you're gonna leave your body and you're gonna move on and you're gonna portal jump and all this stuff, and then they die the next day after you do this to them? Coincidence? I think not.
The spirit you feel at that time, the vibration will exceed all Before the second coming even occurs, the Savior will let that body rest a day or two, and much like himself, you will be raised and be resurrected.
Much like Jesus, you're going to die and then you're going to come back and be resurrected. I wonder how Jesus feels about that one.
So that when the Savior does return, you will be right at the
Oh, you're
front
right.
of that amazing.
She's right, guys. I forgot it was November. He died in December. Thank you, Denise. I forgot it was November. So it wasn't the next day, but still. He died in December. I always thought it was November though too. Maybe I'm just mistaken. I don't know the story or not the storyline, the timeline. I don't know the timeline very well. That's a way to go. Man, this guy was evil, man. I'm not trying to sit here and laugh at someone who died, even if they're evil, but this is not a coincidence that this dude was told you're going to die soon. You're going to die. You're going to go up to heaven. You're going to be resurrected to get your full body back. Where's he at now? Where's he at?
Kingdom of angels. It will sweep the earth. Much like described in the renewed earth, you will be there. It will bring you great joy to help Mother Earth transfer to a terrestrial realm, to burn away the celestial refuse. At that time, you and Holly will still have assignments here temporarily.
That's
But
crazy.
you will move forward. She's already preparing a world for you to, and you will be able to be an eternal family with eternal children on that earth.
On that earth.
And the glory will just continue for you now.
That's so dumb. You're going to go have kids on another earth. I'm just going to be super crass here, okay? Their whole eternal infatuation is really over the top. Like most people who believe in Jesus can't wait to be with him and cannot wait to have that peace that comes with heaven. The obsession isn't eternal life per se. The obsession of just you're going to be this new body, and then it gives them this idea like to just go and like have a bunch of children and or like go and wait, and that way when you get up to heaven, I'm just going to say this is something that's always bothered me. The idea that you would go up to heaven and start just having heaven sex like crazy, it just doesn't make any logical sense. Does God not create us? It's not to get into this big debate, but I'm just being real. Like all of a sudden you're going to go up to heaven and you're just going to start Bella and Edward going, like what are we doing here? What are we talking about?
On and on through eternity. And we bless you at this time with strength, power, and dominion.
Oh, dang, Brandon. So 18 days later, he dies.
The callings you will receive.
That's the level of logic we're
You
talking
are
about.
part of a very special team of people that are moving towards translation and transfiguration. And that the Lord will be with you at all times. You will be a patriarch in your own home. You will give blessings similar to this. Your veil will be essentially gone.
So that's all LDS. That's all LDS. That's all it is. That's the deal. There's the whole patriarch thing in your home, the whole whatever the other thing you just said. Sorry, I forgot, but that's all LDS stuff. So that's what's weird is that this week, guys, you see how manipulative it is because he's trying to still somewhat pretend that he's like an LDS dude, and obviously Lori and Alex are both LDS, so he keeps just enough there to make it sound. I don't know if he's making it sound safe or making them, feel like there's more to this church than there is, but they already say that they are the true church. So why would you leave to the church of the firstborn? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of logic that's missing, but
you'll be able to see into the past and into the future for these individuals and share with them the same type of knowledge and truth. We bless you with protection throughout your mortal life. The angels will now be assigned to you as you reach this vibration. You have 9 angels assigned to you now.
you probably popped out and it was 30. We're literally 40 minutes into this.
You from all sides through your faithfulness. I know you will stay faithful. You have a great mission. I protect you. I bless you with a strong protection against Satan and his.
Pass the baton, baby. I'm coming in and I'm coming in hard, baby. I'm going to be vibrating on a level that no one's ever seen. So dumb.
Followers, Lucifer, Cain, anyone else who seeks to oppose you.
You know what's effed up, guys? Look at that timestamp on there. It's only 15 minutes long, but I paused so much that we've made it to a crispy 41 minutes.
New vitality and strength against them, and to use your priesthood to defend against them. I close this patriarchal blessing by assuring you that you will rise to an eternal glory, and that you will have an eternal family, and that your exaltation is assured through your faithfulness. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
It's Lori right there. What the freak? Whoa, 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 whoa. Just freaking go on there and start doing stuff for me, YouTube. All right, guys. Well, what do we think about that? That was something. That was something. I am not a big fan. That was crazy work. That was crazy work, man. Crazy, crazy work. I can't believe that. I can't believe it. I genuinely cannot believe what is happening right now. That was the worst thing I've ever dealt with in my life. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm going to play this for you guys. I got to go run downstairs and help the fam real quick, so I'll be right back.
All right, Mr. Warwick, you've been sworn in this case and placed under oath. Before your testimony commences in front of the jury, there's an issue we need to take up. The court has previously issued an exclusionary rule in this case under Idaho Rule of Evidence 615, and the state, in good faith, I'll indicate, has brought to the court's attention there may have been some issue with that. So I'm going to permit some inquiry into that issue, allowing the state and the defense to lay a record of what may have occurred, and then the court will consider what should be an appropriate response after I've heard that testimony. So, Ms. Smith, without going into trial testimony, obviously just on the issue of the court's exclusionary rule, if you'd like to inquire, I'll have you inquire, and then I'll allow cross from the defense, but only limited in scope as to whether or not the exclusionary rule is at issue in this case. So, Ms. Smith, with that in mind, you may ask your witness questions.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Okay. And are you having any trouble hearing me?
No.
Okay. If at any time you have trouble hearing any of us, just let us know, okay?
Yes.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the court reporter.
David Dale Warwick, Warwick.
Okay. And Mr. Warwick, are you married?
Yes.
And who are you married to?
Melanie Gibb.
Okay. How long have you guys been married?
About 2.25 years.
Okay. Do you remember when you got married?
December 12th, sorry, 2021.
Okay. And have you testified in this proceeding before?
Yes.
Okay. And when I say this proceeding, in this case involving Ms. Vallow before?
I don't think on this one, no.
Okay. On a previous case involving Ms. Vallow?
I'm sorry, I thought those were with Chad. I don't
Okay.
remember seeing Chad, so I did this twice, and I saw Chad.
Okay. And then did you testify at a grand jury as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were given information from the prosecution staff about that the court has said you cannot view you cannot listen to trial testimony, right?
Right.
And you were given instructions that you can't discuss people's trial testimony with them, correct? All right. Did there come a situation where you listened to someone's trial testimony?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, please?
Yes. I went.
I don't think I ever knew, guys. Sorry if I scared you. I don't know if I ever knew they were married. I thought they just were dating. But then I remembered that this was in 23. So I was like, wait, how have they been married that long? When I remember that this was years after the incidents. So I did not know that, man. I did not know they were married. All right, I'm back. And yes, I saw it. I should have just told you guys the truth. I said I have to poop. No, I'm kidding. I actually had to go check on the kids.
I came down with an illness about 2 weeks ago, and Melanie didn't want to be alone up here, but she came to court, and I couldn't make it that day, so I was going to drive a couple days later, but she ended up coming sooner. Anyway, so we stopped talking because she got here for 1 and 2. She was a little upset with me for not coming, and so I listened to 45 minutes of her.
He was mad at him for not coming when dude is sick. Yeah, again, we talked about this. It's no disrespect. Apparently, I think I said this yesterday or the day before, but I guess this was the artist's first attempt at ever doing court stuff, but they did it for free, which I think is really nice because I'm sure this is a lot of work. You sit there and draw an entire person. So again, it's no hate. It just, even sometimes when you see some of the other ones, like even like some of the I guess the ones I've seen are like on court TV, like Diddy or something like that. They really don't mimic. You'd have to have a really, 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 I don't know. That's a time crunch. I don't know. I'm not going to try to talk about something I don't know.
But I was doing it to see how she was doing. And then 45 minutes into it, I remembered and I shut it off.
Okay.
So I was just concerned for her and just seeing how she was doing. And I didn't have my presence of mind because I was playing Aquaman. Frankly, I was breathing water and it's just lost my presence of mind.
Okay. Because you've been sick and you're on medication.
I just got on antibiotics 2 days ago just so that I can come because I was not getting better.
Okay. So you understand that you were instructed not to do that,
I
right?
can do it.
Yes, and that's why I shut it off. I remembered I listened to the first 45 minutes and then I remembered and I just shut it off.
Okay. Now, had you previously talked about this situation with your wife?
No, we haven't talked anything about the case. She lives in Arizona. I live in Utah.
Okay.
We have a distant
What? They don't even live together?
relationship right now due to family needs. And so she I knew she needed some time, so I just left her alone.
Okay.
And
Is anything you listened to, did it affect what you're going to say in this
Hands
trial
off.
at all?
no,
Okay. Did anything
Hands
you
off and
heard
off.
from her testimony, anything, the way she was treated, anything about that going to affect your ability to be truthful and candid in questioning?
no,
Any way it's going to affect what you have to say to this jury?
not at all.
At this point, the state has nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you,
That was
Ms. Smith,
quick.
for the inquiry. Either Mr. Thomas or
Oh.
Mr. Archibald, would you like to question the witness in regards to the issue of, again, narrow it to the scope of just the exclusionary rule, please?
Yeah. So after your wife's testimony, what did you two talk about?
We didn't talk about that at all. We didn't talk at all.
You haven't talked to your wife since last week?
Nope,
And that's normal for you two?
nope.
So where is she right now?
She's at home working in Chandler, Arizona.
And how would you know that if you haven't talked to her?
It's because that's where she lives and I know she works.
So
And
how
she took a week off to come and she needed to go back. She couldn't take any more time.
so how do you know that she's not still here in Boise if you haven't talked to her?
That's wild, bro.
Well, I like
You have to explain your marriage on a stand being recorded. Yeah, that's wild. That's just a lot.
I mean, I got a text from her saying that she was done and she was going home, but we didn't talk. We didn't talk anything about the case. She just told me that she's going home.
And so what did you learn from her testimony
Right.
in the 45 minutes that you listened to it?
Nothing. I'll be honest with you, I was so sick. I was listening to her tones and how she was feeling. And there's nothing that stuck out to me at all. I really wasn't listening for anything. And
so you were listening for her tone of voice rather than what she actually said.
yes,
And so how was her tone of voice?
she seemed somber.
And so that's what did you listen to the direct questions or the cross-examined questions?
No, nothing on cross-examination. It was all the first 45 minutes. Whatever the first 45 minutes was about.
And where would you have accessed that information?
YouTube.
YouTube.
So what other articles did you pull up on YouTube?
There were just a couple relating to Melanie. And then when the one had the court, and so that's where I listened to the 45 minutes, and then that's when I recalled and shut it off.
And who posted that on YouTube?
Court. Court.
Trying to remember which one it was.
Idaho News. Fox 10 probably. Who knows?
It was either Hidden Crime or something like that, or East Idaho News. I don't remember. I remember seeing headings,
Okay.
but they're right next to each other, and I'm not sure which one I.
And so what was the heading that you clicked on?
Melanie Bibb testifies in court, something like
He
that.
said Melanie Bibb. Why'd you say Bibb?
And did you have to fast forward through other information to get to Melanie's testimony?
No, it was just hers.
And did you read the comments about the article?
No,
Do you get was this on your laptop or your cell phone?
cell phone.
This is definitely, that's why they're spending so much time on this. So that's just what it is. There's a lot that, this is a lot. Like that breaks the rules of your subpoena. So that's why it's such a big deal for court, because if he learned from the other testimonies, it can, as you guys know, it can shape what he says, because you're not supposed to listen to it. The only rule of exception in both trials is that I was allowed to listen to it because I'm a victim. And so there was a rule where everybody else could not listen to it, period. If you listen to it, you're out. And so you have to completely, that's just what it is. So if I listened to it, it wouldn't have changed anything. They said I was allowed to. I think that was in Chad's as well, where Judge Boyce asked me had I watched it, which honest to truth, I never, ever watched it. I couldn't deal with it at that time, even for Chad's. So I didn't feel better and start this process till after Chad's trial, which is kind of crazy. You guys were there. All of you guys who were there from April 2024 is when we kind of started talking about this stuff.
And did you download it?
No,
How would you download it?
You just played it on YouTube?
yes.
Thank you.
And did you do that have you done that in the past with other articles about this case?
In the past, yeah, I have in the past. Back, that was like a couple of years ago when we were dealing with stuff then.
Since you received your subpoena in this case, how many articles have you clicked on?
How many articles?
Yeah.
There was 2 on Melanie, and then there was 1 on Zulema and Alex back when they got married.
And those would have been
I've never
articles
met
posted
anybody in
by
this group besides Melanie Gibb and Melanie, whatever her name is. I don't remember her last name. My cousin. And that's it. I've never met anybody else.
who? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I was just laying in bed or sitting in a rocker. Actually, I couldn't lay down, and I was just
Tell me.
kind of
Appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
trying to come up with the right word.
Yes, Palau.
Is that where you get most
I
of
was just kind of, I was just kind of surfing, just kind of doing my time until I got up. And then when I got 45 minutes into Melanie's testimony, then my presence of mind said, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. And I shut it off. And I didn't pick it up again after that.
And the other articles that you accessed, was that also on YouTube or some other
They're not-
format?
They were
Objection.
Videos, bro.
Vague. If we could get a time frame of when he's saying he accessed those other articles.
I agree. If we can know when this occurred, Mr. Archibald, that'll be helpful.
The question was, since you received your subpoena,
I don't
you told
care.
me you had received some
This is
other
not information that I care
access some other articles, right? Did you
Yeah,
remember?
they were all
about. He is swallowing.
that same time
I'm not
frame.
trying to be rude because he's probably he sounds sick for sure. But I hear the throat from top to bottom.
Right, that same day. Then that one,
Court.
no.
Okay. Is there anything that you've read about the proceedings before preliminary hearing
Yes.
and you've testified on
In violation of that rule and in violation of
the investigators who were there? We immediately brought it to the attention to the jury.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Here we go.
Does
Sorry,
the defense wish to make any rebuttal argument?
This 20-minute back and forth about David watching it, I get it. I get the court proceedings. This is not information that any of us are like, that's not what we're listening to. So I'm just going to kind of, whenever it's like super courty, whatever you want to call it, like a lot of court back and forth of official business, we can just skip past that.
Make a ruling.
Well, Your Honor, there's a reason that we have rules, and we don't just say, golly gee.
Golly gee. What is this, Pinocchio? Gee willikers.
Made a mistake, my bad. No harm, no foul. That's not the language of Idaho Rule of Evidence 615. The reason that we have this rule is exactly for this predicament. He's accessing information on the internet, on YouTube. He knows he's not supposed to.
We know that.
Discretion to determine the nature of any sanction before the witness was called.
We've got an hour 23. There's no shot they spend an hour 23 talking about this, right?
The witness voluntarily disclosed the witness of the conduct in order. Do you have any questions on the court's?
Here we go. Sounds like they're getting started. Gee willikers. Jiminy Christmas. Oh, you're not wrong. He sounds very close to it. Sounds like he was cleared because this is a long video, so there's no shot that he did not. I might be.
How long have you been married to Melanie Gibb?
There you go.
About 2.25 years.
Okay. So if I'm doing the math, what year was that? 2021?
2021.
And do you know Lori Vallow?
Hold on, guys.
Yes.
How do you?
Go home, mommy, baby girl. You okay? Hi, Carter. Sorry,
know Lori Vallow?
we got a lot going on
I
today.
met her through Melanie.
Okay. Do you remember when you first met her?
Yes.
When did you first meet her?
It was down in Arizona. I was down there with Melanie, and we got a call. And she asked Melanie to bring me over. They wanted me to meet them.
Okay. So, and if at any time, I know sometimes it's hard for you to hear, right?
So I got 3 babies. I got a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 8-month-old, and we're busy a lot of times. What's funny is that my son, who's 8, he is 8 months, not 8, 8 months. I'll slow it down. He's 8 months, and he won't go to sleep without me now. So it's tough because he will not, for some reason, give Kel the chance. She tries so hard, and he just wants me. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
So if at any time you can't hear, I need you to let me know. All right.
So it's
Okay.
Riley, Ava, and Carter. Riley's our oldest. Ava's our middle baby, and she's the one that's 3, and then Carter's our baby boy.
All right. So you said she wanted Melanie to bring you over to meet them. Who is she?
Lori Vallow.
Okay. And Lori Vallow wanted to meet you.
Yes.
All right. And where did you go to meet her?
To her house.
Okay. Where was that?
I believe it was Chandler, Arizona.
Okay. Was it in Arizona?
Yes, it was in
Okay.
Arizona.
Okay. Was she married at the time?
No.
Okay. Was she widowed?
Yes.
Okay. Who had she been married to?
Charles Vallow.
Okay. How close in time was this to?
Yeah, and I'm not going to try to speculate or make this guy sound worse. This is complete speculation, but you guys know, as husbands and wives, you 90 probably 8 to 99% of the time you tell each other a lot and everything. With Gib, I would assume that she told him a lot of the situation. It'd just be hard to believe that he did not know a lot as well, because Melanie knew a lot. She only got mad when they flipped on her, just like probably like Alex did.
That you met her, was it to the time that Charles died?
I met her the first week of August, and I just knew Charles had died previously to that, but I wasn't sure how.
Okay.
I didn't know them.
Okay.
Jerry,
So the first week of August of 2019?
Yes.
we're glad to
Okay.
have you here.
And so when you met her, you went to her home in Arizona.
What's up, Davis?
Who was there at her home when you met her?
There was Chad, Alex, Melanie. I think her last name was Bordeaux at the time.
Bordeaux. Bordeaux. You're telling me all of them were at the Chandler house? They're all at the house where they killed Charles. That would be the only time she was widowed outside of in Arizona. She was there for what? Till August 30th. So I don't know exact math on that, but not long.
And then Zalima showed up, and then another lady showed up, but I don't remember her name. She was pretty quiet.
And when you said Chad, do you mean Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Okay. So prior to August of 2019, had you ever met Chad Daybell?
Just over the phone.
Okay. How was it you talked to Chad Daybell over the phone prior to August of 2019?
A few years previous, he reached
Yeah,
out
Chef Boyardee, baby.
to me and wanted to do a book with me.
And did you ever do that with him?
No,
Okay. Why not?
'cause I didn't feel it was right, and I didn't feel like he was the one that, if it was to be done, that it should be done with.
And so at the house at Lori Vallow's home in August of 2019, you saw Chad there.
Yes.
Okay. what happened at the house when you met Lori Vallow?
They were having, they were just sitting around the table, and Lori was she was an amazing hostess. She was fixing food, and it was just
Please tell me she was making the enchiladas. I will fall out of my chair if he says that. Please tell me, because that's her thing, bro. That's what she did. She made big batches. If there's a big there's a big group of people coming over, she'd make those gosh dang enchiladas. Please say, what did she make? It's not relevant, but just say it.
They were just kind of they were like having a social.
I guarantee.
All right. And then did you have an opportunity to meet her again at any point after that?
Yes.
Okay. Where was it you met her again?
At her apartment in Rexburg,
There you
Okay.
go.
Idaho.
That's how fast it was.
Now, to be clear at this point, were you married to Melanie Gibb?
No.
Okay. Were you guys dating at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So how did it come to be that you met Lori Vallow at her place in Rexburg, Idaho?
Melanie and Lori wanted to do a podcast with me, which was supposed to happen in Arizona, which it didn't happen. So I was coming up to see Melanie, and I was coming up for the Book of Mormon conference. And I was also coming up because my son just moved to Pocatello, Idaho.
Okay.
So I just kind of took a long weekend, just kind of see everybody and just enjoy the weekend and do the podcast.
Okay. And so when you say you took a long weekend, what weekend was that?
September 2020 through the 23rd, 22nd.
We've been doing this almost this whole week. We've gone every single day. That's kind of the goal. So we've been doing it almost every single day. We're probably going to make a schedule for you guys where we at least do it no matter what, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But when we're doing something like this, it's just got to be we try to cram in as much as we can because we have so much else to get through. So
in there.
Okay. Of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And so forgive me, you were coming up for kind of three purposes?
Yes.
And those three purposes were what?
To go spend some time with my son, with his family in Pocatello. They just moved there a couple weeks previous. And then the Book of Mormon conference was there in Rexburg.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we're done. The reason we're let's call it cramming this in is because once the sentencing happens, I'd love to move on, and that's the whole point. So instead of trying to wait because I have such a short amount of time to get through a lot of this, I want to just be done with it once sentencing is over and just really move on. And I also want to help other people. So we're going to get to that for sure. And if you guys, I'll probably make a tab for you. If you guys have something you want to cover together as a group, I already have a few of my own that I've been working on and learning about. So I'd love to, I'd love to be able to do some stuff together. So I'll probably post a tab where you guys can just leave your comments, and we'll start going through some other cases pretty soon here. I'll tell you guys about everything. And then I told you guys the channel vision is what we're going to do is hopefully whoever we cover, we're going to give them an opportunity to be on the Scar Wars podcast and talk about their experiences and talk about, where they're at and just to make them feel loved and heard, and, just make sure they're okay. And we'll see what happens with that. But that is the goal. That is always going to be the goal now.
to see Melanie.
Okay.
And to do the podcast.
Okay. When you say to do the
I
podcast,
don't even want to do a podcast because of this, but frick this. I actually saw a comment. I'm not gonna out the person, but somebody just said on Timber and Wing, somebody was like, so you guys are gonna do books and podcasting? This seems like you're heading down the wrong path. Like, doesn't this sound familiar? And I'm like, podcasts and books are not just Chad Daybell and all these people's forte. It's pretty big genre of things. People do a lot of that. So just because we're just talking about our stuff on podcasts and trying to help people write their books or write our own books, that means we're mirroring this group. Okay.
had you participated in any of the podcast sessions that Lori Vallow and Melanie and others had done before?
No, I did some with Preparing the People, but nobody else.
Okay. And so one of the purposes was to come up and to do the podcast with Melanie, Lori. Anybody else going to participate in that podcast?
No.
Okay. Where were you supposed to record the podcast?
at Lori's apartment.
Okay. And so you came up, I believe you said September 20th, and you were going to go to Lori's to do the podcast?
Yes.
All right. Where did you stay that weekend?
Well, I was going to stay in a hotel in Idaho Falls to kind of be in the middle with everything. But Melanie called me and said, hey, don't waste money on a hotel. Lori's got an extra room here. Why don't you just come and stay here?
Okay.
And the majority of the weekend is going to be in Rexburg anyway, so I decided to stay there.
Okay. So when you got to Lori's place in Rexburg, Idaho, who was at the house, if you remember?
When I got there, Alex Cox, Melanie, Lori, and JJ.
Okay. Now, had you met JJ Vallow before that time?
No,
Okay. Do you remember what JJ was doing when you got there?
he was sitting on the couch playing with toys.
And did you interact with him at all?
Yeah, I got a Down syndrome boy, autistic, so I just sat down with him to include him. I wanted to see how he was doing and talk to him, but it was like I wasn't even there. He never acknowledged me.
Okay. Now, when you got there, did you see Tylee Ryan there at all?
No,
Did you ever see Tylee Ryan that weekend?
and no, I never did. Never did see her. I never did meet her.
Okay. Were you told where she was?
I was told that she was attending Rexburg, Idaho College, and she wanted to be independent.
Okay. And who told you that?
I think it was Melanie told. If I remember, Melanie asked Lori in front of me.
Okay. And then who
But-
told you that Tylee was attending college in Rexburg
Yeah.
and wanted to be independent?
Yes.
Who said those words?
Lori.
So
Um,
Melanie, there's a lot of Melanies now. Melanie Gibb asked in front of everybody where Tylee was. And then she told her that she wanted to be independent about, you know how small Rexburg is, bro? The college is like, I don't even think it's 10 minutes out. If that. So that's kind of the point, is like, there's no, hi baby. Okay.
Really hard in my back.
Okay. I'll talk to her in a little bit. Okay. Can you shut the door though, love? Thank you, baby. We're having a scratch backs. We have sisters that are they're frenemies. So Rexburg's not very big. The college from their apartment couldn't have been that far. So there would be no reason for her to stay on campus at 16 by herself when she could live at home and have more money and be okay. That just wouldn't make any logical sense. Like, you wouldn't stay, they wouldn't stay on campus had you been that close. There's just nothing, there's no shot that you would do that, because there's no reason. You're so close. And you wanted to be independent. You had her right at this point. I forgot the dates now. No, it's September. It's September. So they have her Jeep. Melanie Gibb knew about that Jeep and knew whose it was. So Tylee would move out of the house, move up to 10 minutes out, by the way, stay on campus at 16 years old and not take her car? The fuck are we talking about here?
And so after you have that interaction with JJ, did you have
not.
any other interactions with JJ that
You
weekend?
couldn't even sign a lease, or your parents couldn't even sign a lease, I don't think, for you. I don't think you can legally, without being emancipated, which that was a huge rumor that Tylee tried to get emancipated. Okay, show me the documents. She never did that. Who the hell made that up? She never, ever did that. I don't know where that came from. And if it's true, then show me the proof, because that didn't happen.
Yeah, there was he had a cardboard box and he was cutting.
She was killed. That's the point. But they don't know that. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I know a lot of younger people who go to college early or graduate early, but let's also go back to the logic of 10 minutes away, why would you dorm? Why would you dorm 10 minutes out? If 10 minutes, you could look it up right now, how far away that BYU is from them.
Doors and windows out of it, making a home out of it. So I got next to him again and just tried talking to him, but it was the same experience. He was very focused on that and didn't acknowledge me at all.
Okay. And did you ever see him engage with anyone?
I think he engaged with Alex once, and I can't remember what they were talking about, but it looked like a good relationship. Then he got to go outside and play with some children.
Okay.
And when he went outside, he just looked really happy.
Now, that weekend, did you see Chad Daybell at all?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you see
That's
him, if
even
you remember?
worse. You know what I mean? Like 5 minutes away. So you're 5 minutes out and you'd move on campus and spend the money without a scholarship to be 5 minutes out, and you wouldn't take your Jeep. Now, again, I have to also provide context. We're coming from a place where we have the puzzle pieces put together. So maybe it's not something, because guess what? I think I missed it. Somebody said in the chat, like, why did anybody realize that they were lying? But it's like, why would they lie? You know what I mean? Like, you don't think inherently that somebody's lying to you. You ask them where their kid is and they say summer camp with their grandparent. You know, you're not necessarily thinking anything. Sorry, I had to fix my pants there. So, you know, but you wouldn't really think, oh yeah, they're lying. They're completely lying to me. You're not going to be thinking like a detective trying to connect dots, because I don't know what red flags went off for them. But if you just walked in like, hey, where's Tylee? Oh, she's at school. Now that, to me, that's the worst thing you could have said. You couldn't to put her on campus, but have her never come home. Now, the only reason maybe Melanie Gibb believed this, by the way, this is my opinion, not fact. Maybe Melanie Gibb knows that Tylee did not like her for good reason. And so that was what happened next, is she wouldn't expect to see her on her trip while she was staying there. Why the heck would Tylee come home to see Melanie Gibb, or she just avoid it, right? So I don't know.
I would say 4 times.
Okay.
According to memory.
Okay. Can you tell us about any those interactions?
That's when he was trying to teach me about some of their beliefs. About the gathering of the 144,000 and then Satan having powers to push people out of their bodies, and then the spirits being stuck. I don't know how far to go with this, but it was just, just some.
It's okay. I'll ask questions.
Okay.
That's fair. And that's exactly right. If you're not sure, we'll just do question, answer, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you need some water or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw you licking your lips. All right. Now, you indicated that he started talking about beliefs and that, and the 144,000, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said. Who was present during this conversation?
Melanie and Lori.
Okay. Did Lori participate in the conversation at all about those issues?
Not that I can recall. He seemed to lead the way on that.
Okay. And did you, what was your response to Chad's, sort of concepts?
I just said,
how you want.
If the Lord's gathering is 144,000, I believe that would happen through his prophet. And then as far as the Satan having power to push people out of the bodies, I said, we're taught differently in that. That can't happen. He's not given that kind of power.
Thank you. Lisa,
so let me stop you there. So you are a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I heard you say through the prophet. Are those doctrines taught through the mainstream LDS church?
Yes.
Okay. And so your response was things more in line with the teachings of your church.
Yes.
Okay. Were you sort of going along with what Chad was telling you?
I was listening, and then I questioned, and that's, I don't know what you mean by going along. I didn't.
Did you believe him?
No.
Okay. Did you let him know you didn't believe him?
Yeah.
Okay. So after that interaction, did you have any other interactions with Chad?
Yeah, he had us meet him at a property on the east side of the church.
When you say had us meet him, who was
So,
together with that situation?
me and Melanie met with Chad and Lori at this property.
Okay. And it was next to a church?
Yes.
Why would they meet them at a church property when Melanie and David were staying at her house? She just got up and left and then's like, hey, come meet me 4 minutes away. I'm telling you, Rexburg is not a big place. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big spot. So it's not like it takes you very long to really go anywhere. You get across town within 15 minutes. I mean, any of you guys from Rexburg can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not talking about a big spot. So it's even weirder to be like, hey, come meet me and Chad. We're waiting and lurking at a church parking lot. We want to talk to you.
Okay. What happened when you met with Chad and Lori next to a church?
They just trying to tell us about the beautiful building, like a temple that was there, and that, was in spirit. But so they wanted us to.
A spirit temple, a spirit building. You're going to build a fake temple?
They wanted to show it to us, but I couldn't see anything.
Why did they want to show you
Yeah, you couldn't see it because it doesn't exist.
the temple or the heavenly building they said they were seeing?
I think it tied in with things that they believed in, but I didn't know all their beliefs.
Did you believe it? Could you see a building?
No, I didn't believe it was there, and I couldn't see it, but I was trying to be respectful and just kind of follow along, I guess.
Okay. And then after the visit of a site, what was supposed to happen at that site where you were meeting with Chad and Lori?
We were just supposed to be able to witness it. That's all I recall.
Okay. And then did you run into Chad Daybell again that weekend?
Yes.
Okay. Where was that?
They had 80 acres that was out by his place. It was for sale.
80
It was for development.
So why were you looking at 80 acres near Chad Daybell's property?
Well, for me personally, I had an investor down in Utah that wanted to do a development in Rexburg. So I was interested in it for that. And Chad was interested in it because he wanted me to move up to Rexburg.
Okay.
Why?
And so what did you do about going?
Situation with bringing him everybody there. Just use everybody's money? Like, what kind of logic? Well, he's not logical. What kind of adult thinks this way?
To check out that property?
Since it was Sunday, I just said, well, I don't work on Sunday, but since I'm leaving early in the morning, I said, I'll just drive by, take a picture of the realtor sign, and then I'll, deal with it later, during the work week.
So when you drove by and you took a picture, how was it? How did you get connected with Chad?
We were out there. Alex Cox led us out to the property. So we were just standing out in the field and just talking. And then Chad and some brother that he was serving within the church, they left I guess they were clerks or something, and they just left and came over to the property.
Okay.
And he said this guy was a realtor, and he said, I just want to, if you have any questions or anything, he can help you with it.
Okay. So who's he? Was that Chad with the realtor?
It was Chad with the realtor, but I don't remember the realtor's name.
Okay. And what was your response to Chad coming and showing up with the realtor at the property?
I just said, I don't do business on Sunday. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not here for that. And, because I didn't know they were coming. They just showed up.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, guys, just real quick. So we actually had We went through with our mods and just said if we can refrain from all caps on a multiple time basis, it's one thing to like sin a couple times. It just kind of, I think what happens is it just kind of distracts from chat. I think we said you can do it a few times, but the mods, when I talk with mods, one of the things we said is like if someone's using a ton of caps, we need to just try to say, hey, please refrain from all caps all the time. That was really it. But yeah, everybody, let's be respectful. You know, let's be respectful. Let's, you know.
So after that interaction, did you see Chad Daybell again?
No.
Okay. Did you ever see Chad that weekend at Lori's apartment?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about that situation.
That's where he came. That's where he was coming over and
You're good.
and
Yeah, I
teaching me some of
also
their.
don't want anybody attacking each other in the chat either. That's not what we're here for. So, again, we always talk about this. We can have our disagreements and everything of that nature, but I don't want anybody getting into a fight or, you know, being rude to each other in our chat. That's not what we're here for.
Beliefs.
Okay. Did you ever see Chad with JJ that weekend?
No.
Okay. Did you ever hear about any interactions between Chad and JJ?
I heard that he had a scuffle with JJ, and that's how he got the scratch on his neck. But I don't remember what that was about.
Okay. And when you say he got a scratch on his neck, who got a scratch on their neck?
Chad did.
Okay. During the times you saw Chad, what was his interactions like with Lori Vallow?
They were really loving with one another and affectionate.
Okay. Now, at this time, were you aware that he was still married to Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
Okay. Did the fact that he was married come up at all?
Yes.
All right. How did that happen?
I asked him I just asked him how his marriage was with the Tammy and if she was a good wife, and he said they had no complaints.
This is the deal. That the fact that Chad Daybell thought he could take JJ upstairs and discipline him, that's when JJ scratched him because he felt the demon that was talking to him. That is the point. JJ did not like that, nor should he. What kid would be okay with some random effing dude pulling you upstairs, probably by force, like picking him up or holding his hand or whatever the hell that dude did? And in Chad Daybell's book, I actually heard this, that someone else found in his book that Chad wrote a fictional story about 2 LDS missionaries who go to someone's house. And a missionary at that time would have been possibly 18 to 19 years old, up to 20 to 21 years old. And it was a male missionary who went into a house. And I guess this kid was being really crazy. By the way, this is fiction, being really crazy. And Chad wrote in his book that the missionary punched the kid on the top of the head because he was disrupting the lesson for the mom. And the elders are like, good job, elder. You had to do that because we had to be able to. And the kid was, by the way, in the book was 7. I listened to this on Hidden True Crime because Lauren actually was listening to it and had the lady who showed her in the book, something of that nature. Anyway, so in this fictional story, a grown man, okay, but especially legally, punched a 7-year-old, exactly 7 years old kid on the top of the head in front of his mother because he was disrupting the Lord's work. You know? And then that's exact same thing happens because Chad thought he was a god. So why, if you're a god, why do rules apply to you if you really believe that? That's all I'm saying.
She was a good wife, but he said her time was coming up, and that him and Lori were gonna, go do the things that they had committed to do for God.
Okay.
Like
So
go hook up while he's married. Mm-hmm.
when you say her time was coming up, your Tammy's time
Yeah,
was.
he said he had a dream that she was gonna pass away before he was 50 or by the time he was 50.
Okay. And so that was Tammy was going to pass away before Chad was 50?
Yeah, by the time Chad was 50.
Okay.
The dream was like, I think he said 3 years previous.
Okay. And that And then he said he and Lori were going to be together. What did that mean?
That they were going to get married and they were going to go do their calling.
Okay. And did you know what their calling was?
That's what I learned. They were going to gather the 144,000.
If a random grown adult, a 19-year-old kid, came in my house and put his hands on my kid, I would light him up. Straight up. If he punched my child in the top of the head, I am lighting them up to oblivion. And then I'd kick them out of my house. Because that's not even close to acceptable. That is an attack. Doesn't matter what righteousness BS you believe in. You're getting lit the F up.
And they were going to do it together.
Yeah.
Did you have any response to this?
That's where I just said that because he felt he was kind of saying that I was one of them, and that's why he wanted me up there. And that's when I said, well, that would be a call from God and through his prophet.
Okay. And what was his reaction when you said it should come through the prophet?
There'd be problems.
It's the prophet of the church, right?
Yeah. I can't remember all the details, but it was clear, kind of like
Great chat.
that it was a separate calling because it was the Church of the Firstborn, which is going to be coming out of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so that was his position, and he had his authority under John the Beloved, if I remember right.
Okay. And was that your?
I was there and saw Chad do whatever he did to JJ that made him scratch him. Let me tell you something. JJ is not an aggressive kid where he just go up to you and scratch you. There's kids that I know that will, like attack or like punch or whatever the case is. JJ didn't do that. I don't think JJ would have ever put his hands on Chad if Chad did not do something serious first. I have been so heated about that thing just as much as I am about the fact that he took his life. I am so heated over the fact that he went in there, probably hurt JJ, and JJ retaliated. Who knows what he did? If you're asking what would happen if I was there, I don't think I can say it on YouTube. I'll tell you that.
Belief.
No.
Okay. Now, did you do the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. And did you, when?
He'd meet Des and Troy quick. I'd introduce him really quickly. Because I'm telling you, if I saw some random dude put his hands on my little brother,
When did you do the podcast?
We did that on Sunday night.
Okay.
It was late.
All right. So that's Sunday the 22nd.
Yes.
All right. And so, where did you do the podcast?
At Lori Vallow's kitchen over the island.
Okay. And when you said who's we did the podcast?
Melanie Gibb and Lori Vallow.
Okay. So you're in Lori's kitchen in her home, right?
Yes.
On a Sunday evening.
Yes.
Was JJ there?
No.
Where was JJ?
Alex was babysitting him.
Okay.
let's stop right here too. Exactly. It wouldn't have been over. Yeah, imagine that. Hey, new dude that doesn't know my autistic son who is routine, who needs to be catered to, who has a lot of issues. He's an amazing, bright, beautiful boy, but you go be his dad. He just lost his dad because I killed him. So now I want you to go pretend to be his dad and go discipline him, which he's never had like that. Right? He's never been like disciplined in that kind of way. You have to understand where he's at. He doesn't register things normally. Right? He barely made it out of being born alive. So the fact that you would go up to discipline a kid who genuinely can't really understand everything yet and do whatever that discipline to Chad means, what could you possibly think is going to happen there? And I'm trying to tell you JJ's characteristics. I've never had JJ attack me ever. And I played WWE with that kid as hard as you can play. Both of us just jumping on a trampoline, crazy, like just going crazy. And he's never attacked me. And so he wouldn't have done that had Chad not put his hands on him in some type of way, or done something to him. I promise you that. Obviously, Chad is an unbelievably disturbed human being. And he wrote in a book about hitting a kid in the top of the head so he could give the mom the lesson of the church. Does that even sound even close to making sense to you? You punch a kid in the head so you can continue your godly message. Love that, Abby. Thank you. You also want to talk about the fact that that Jesus says that anybody who even makes these little children stumble had to face me. Stumble. Not hit them or anything. Stumble. Come find out.
And was he babysitting him in the apartment or somewhere else?
At his place, his apartment.
All right. Who told you that?
Lori,
Hell no.
she just wanted to have.
Alex did not babysit anybody. You guys don't need me to tell you that. But that would never add up. If I heard that, I'd be like, go, yep, no effing way you're being serious. There's no shot that dude is babysitting JJ right now. Hell no.
Interruptions so we could do the podcast. So she asked him to watch him.
Okay. And did you see JJ again that evening?
Yes, about 10:30. I believe it was 10:30 at night. I heard the front door open, which was to my back. I turned around and I saw Alex carrying JJ, and JJ was asleep and his head was on his shoulder.
Mm-mm.
And Alex carried him in the house?
Yes.
Did you see where Alex went?
He took him upstairs.
Okay.
And put him in bed.
All right. Do you remember what JJ was wearing?
Seemed like it was shorts and a t-shirt, but I can't remember the colors. I almost want to say it was the camouflage shorts, if I remember right, but
Okay.
I just
All right. So Alex, and did you see Alex leave that night?
seemed like I heard the door open and close. I didn't turn around again. Once I knew what was going on, I just stayed focused on the podcast, but I didn't see him leave, but seemed like I did hear the door open and close. It's the vague memory. That's
Fair enough. So where was JJ sleeping while you were staying there?
in Lori's room.
Okay. And what room were you in?
I was in JJ's room.
Okay. So did you spend
He
that
was
night
sleeping in that room.
there as well?
Yes.
All right. Did anything happen in the night?
Yeah, in the early hours of the morning, I had it was one of the worst nightmares of my life. It was very real.
Okay.
And
So let me ask you a question. So
Okay.
did Melanie come try to help you as you were waking up from that nightmare?
yes,
Okay. How did that happen? Let me do it this way. How did Melanie try to help you?
she had heard me talking in my sleep, kind of, I guess I was screaming out or calling out.
Okay.
And so she kind of helped wake me up.
Okay. And then what happened after she helped wake you up?
She said, I'm going to go get Lori, see if we can get Chad over here to give you a blessing.
Okay.
She went and she went to go get Lori, but she came back because she said she couldn't get anybody.
Okay. And so JJ was this in the middle of the night?
Yes, I would say it was in the early hours of the morning. I didn't have a clock there, but I know it was after midnight.
Okay. So as you were kind of waking up and coming back from the nightmare, did you see Lori Vallow at that time?
No,
Okay. Was Melanie able to get her to come help you guys?
no.
All right. I've been trying to figure this out for a long time. So some of the theory is that when they saw JJ, he was asleep. They could have medicated him and then medicated him, got him to actually fall asleep, and then Lori snuck out of the house with JJ and went over and helped do what they do. Because I kept thinking if everything was done and brought home, you didn't have to bring JJ back. And he wasn't gone yet. He wasn't gone yet. I don't even want to say why I know that, because, all right, I'll just say it. Forgive me for if I start bawling my eyes out, but when we listened to this the other day, remember they said that there was marks on him and that he had soiled his pants, right? There's no way that he would put him in her bed, which means it's even worse than I thought, because that means that in the middle of the night, they snuck him out and did it. That's been going through my mind since I heard this. But that's the only thing that makes logical sense to me, which is worse. I don't know how it's worse, but it's worse. That's what I think. Yeah. That's possibly what it is. That makes the most logical sense after all this evidence. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But if I think about it just with pure logic, I think about it just logically, it wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't bring him back in front of other people. I just always, like, once I heard that story a long time ago, I don't even know where I heard that. I was like, okay, they brought him back after Alex did all that. But that makes way less sense. They're monsters, man. That's the only thing. It's just I'm trying to be as logical right now without getting super personal. It's not really an easy thing to do, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me. All right, let's just keep going.
Now, the next morning, did you see JJ?
No. Excuse me.
Do you need some water?
Sorry.
No, it's all right. You okay?
Yeah.
All right. And so when you woke up the next morning, did you see JJ that morning?
I did not.
Okay. Did you make any inquiries about JJ?
Yes, I did. We went downstairs to say goodbye, and Lori was there, and she just said that JJ had an episode, and he climbed up on the cabinets, and then he climbed up on top of the fridge, and then he climbed up on top of the upper cabinets and knocked over her picture of Christ. And she just said that he was out of, she couldn't control him.
So what did she say she did?
She called Alex and had Alex come and get him.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would literally I would wait by Alex for his resurrection and put him down as many times as I need to. I'll tell you that right now. All of them. A bunch of helpless people. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. I beat the brakes off of him. Anyway, with that being said, I forgot what I was going to tell you guys. Oh yeah, that would never happen. Alex did not babysit. Alex did not babysit anybody. That would never make logical sense. Melanie Gibb must have known better than this. Sounds like David really was all kind of new to it all. I don't know what he knew, but definitely the least knowing person of what would go on or how weird that would be David. We'll give him that.
So when she said she had Alex take JJ, what did you do?
Well, before she told me that Alex took JJ, I said, well, I'd like to see him because I wanted to make sure he was okay.
Why?
Well, because I didn't see any signs of the cabinets. There was no damage on the cabinets. There was no scuffs on the stainless steel fridge. And I just was trying to understand what was going on here. But I also, if JJ did have a problem, I'd like to give him a blessing.
And so then you ask her where he was.
Yeah.
And what did she say?
She said Alex. She had Alex come and get him.
It's not true.
Okay. One moment, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes.
It could.
Yeah, one moment.
Yeah, that's when I knew. That's when I knew, Leslie. At least in this situation, David has the most logical, the most logical, realistic approach how anybody else would feel is to say, what is going on? This is weird. I feel off about this. Ask questions, all that stuff. It's the only person that ever had a normal reaction in this entire time. Literally. There's not a lot of things that anybody's ever done. And that's why I look at him right now differently, at least from what he's saying. He doesn't sound like he's trying to deceive, but he obviously was like any other human being, would just be confused, concerned, didn't just jump in and agree with their belief system, couldn't understand it. Probably just trying to push past it because maybe he and Melanie's whatever relationship. And, you know, maybe there was some other things. So he just, at least he was concerned in some way, shape, or form.
Just to make sure I was, and I may have forgotten to ask, the date that Lori Vallow said she sent JJ with Alex was what?
That was Monday, the 23rd of September.
2019.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Who will be doing cross-examination? Mr. Archibald.
I haven't heard other dude in a while, man. I've only heard Archibald now, last couple times. Gotta fix these pants. Gosh dang it. Riding up, brother. Yeah, no. Literally a whole group of people. Man.
So, Mr. is it Warwick or Warwick?
Warwick.
Okay. How do you spell your last name?
Warwick.
Okay. I got it right.
Yes.
And you live in Pleasant Grove, Utah?
Yes, sir.
And your
Thank
wife, Melanie Gibb, lives
That's right.
where?
Chandler, Arizona.
Okay. And you two married?
Don't make me vomit on stream. Yeah, Chris, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay. It's just hard. It's hard because I have a logic. Because of this, I've become very logical / case based sometimes, but it's all super, super emotional. So it's hard because it's connecting puzzle pieces for me. The more I hear, the more I can start to see the picture in a fuller way. So it's hard to admit to yourself how bad it really is. It's hard to admit that, you know, Lori was probably 95% involved with JJ and probably helped. Who knows what actually happened, but it threw me off. It threw me off because there's no way he would have brought JJ back. in that place. And Tylee never shows up. I don't know. For me, it's more about Gib. She knows way too much to not be. And this is my opinion, not an accusation. It's just, to me, my opinion is that it's just hard to believe that she wasn't as peaked. I'm not saying that she did anything. I'm not saying that she participated in anything. All I'm saying is it's hard to believe that her and her best friend would not be in communication.
In December of 2021.
Yes, sir.
So in this weekend of September 2019 that you've talked to us about, were you still married to someone else?
No.
Was Melanie Gibbs still married to someone else?
What's that?
Was Melanie Gibbs still married to someone else?
No.
Okay. Both of you had been divorced by the time of September of 2019.
That's not what I heard. My therapist said logical part and emotional part of your brain don't overlap. We cannot rationalize our way out of feelings no matter how hard we try. Yeah, it is. It's definitely a coping mechanism. You try to use logic to overshadow your emotional state. And I think that's been the thing. It's just like both sides of what I'm thinking and feeling are coming out at the same time. I think that was a better way to say it. Like, you're emotional, but there's also like, oh, that would make more sense if it went down this certain way. Because I've always wondered, and I don't want to know, but then a part of me wants to just face it. So,
Yes.
When did you start to see Melanie before your divorce went through?
Objection relevance?
Overruled.
oh,
We were seeing each other at events.
Okay. So you were separated and then started to see Melanie.
Yeah, I was
again.
in the divorce process, and so I had a Downs boy that I was taking care of, and Melanie really hit it off with him at a camp.
we're actually planning it for this year, so it's been a long time. My goal was to finish all case things, nothing to come up, and then it's true resting time for everyone. So that's the goal. But I don't know if I don't know what we're doing exactly yet. That's something that I've been slowly thinking through. I want to honor them, and I want to have a good memorial. Like, I want to try to remember them as people and not as victims. So that's a huge thing, and it's hard. It's hard. So, but that's an amazing offer. You guys are so awesome for even thinking that. I will keep you guys up to date on what the plan is for that. It just, like I said, there's so much here. And then once that's done, that's when those thoughts, I think, are going to be more prevalent, because now there's nothing else to ever have to deal with, at least in this realm, as far as we know, with court.
And so my divorce didn't final as fast as I had hoped it would, but she was divorced.
Mr. Warwick, also, I'll ask you to please wait until he's completely finished his question before you answer, just because it helps our court reporter keep the record.
I'm sorry, I thought I was still on the same answer. I apologize.
Thank you.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a general contractor.
And have you also done podcasts on religious topics?
Yes.
And so that's how you and Melanie Gibb were interested in each other, because you had the same common interest in religious topics.
They tried to. Those people really thought that those castings were going to be the only thing, and then they prayed that they would just die on their own. You know what I mean? They literally prayed death on them, and then when they didn't just fall out and die because they thought they were superhero people who had that ability, they killed them themselves. That's how it worked. No, I've never been there. I want to go to Greece. I want to go to Rome. I want to go to Australia. I'm scared of Australia bugs, though. I'll tell you that. I don't F with those big old spiders. Thank you, Monica. But yeah, I'd love to travel at some point. I think that's going to have to be a goal in life. Got to do it. And go to Japan. Japan would be super dope. I want to go to so many places, man.
Yes.
And is that how you met Lori Vallow?
Well, I met Lori through Melanie. I would say it was the same intent.
Okay. And that's how you met Chad Daybell as well?
Yes.
And that's how you met Alex Cox.
Yes.
And how would you describe Alex?
He was a fun-loving guy.
Agrees to frick this.
He was very humorous and he can be genuine and he can be lighthearted.
And that's how you also met Zulema about the same time in late 2018 or 2019.
I met Zulema at Lori's the first time.
And
Yeah.
so that was August of 2019.
Yes.
Okay. And how did you learn that Lori and Alex moved from Arizona to Idaho?
Through Melanie.
And so this conference that you were going to in Rexburg, Idaho, was that what kind of a conference did you say that was?
A Book of Mormon conference.
And who was that sponsored by?
Rod Meldrum.
So that wasn't part of your church. That was just a private conference.
Yeah, they were members of the church, and Rod was it was his conference, and the people with Preparing the People were doing the filming for him.
And so Preparing a People, is that a group sponsored by your church?
No.
So who is it sponsored by? Just a bunch of people getting together?
They're just the private owners.
Okay. And when you say you get together to do podcasts, what does that mean?
When you sit down and discuss a topic or be interviewed.
And who's the designated audience for this podcast? Or are you trying to sell it to?
I'm just trying to think what their it was mainly to the saint for the Latter-day Saints.
And so have you ever made money on these podcasts?
No.
So the podcasts are for education then, not money?
Right.
And where would your podcast be downloaded to?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. I understand it's cross, but it's relevance.
All right. I'll allow some more here, Mr. Archibald, but it needs to tie into direct if you could.
Well, you told the prosecutor you were doing podcasts with.
Sorry, chap. I gotta answer this girl. You trying to go on a date or what? Your name Kelsey Benson Ryan? I like the way your hair looks too. I'm gonna have to find you, go on a date with you, baby.
With preparing a people. That's what you told the prosecutor.
Now, their interviews, I don't know if podcast is the right name. Melanie and Lori called theirs podcast. Preparing the people, I think they just called theirs. They just did weekly things where they would highlight topics, and then they would ask people to come in, and then they would just kind of go into that topic and scripturally and experience with it.
And so your purpose in doing these podcasts was just to talk about your religious beliefs.
Yes, and to build faith. We did most of the ones I did with preparing the people. Well, sorry, I'm saying too much.
No, it's not that you can't continue to answer. It was just avoid talking before Mr. Archibald's done. So we don't have
But I just didn't know where to end it, so that's why I stopped. Sorry.
so we don't have two people talking at the same time for the court reporter, if you would. So
I
thank
thought,
you.
okay.
And is there a group called Preparing a People?
No,
What is Preparing a People?
they host conferences and they invite speakers.
So here's another question I have with this whole situation is how did they promote themselves? Like, how did they actually gather a group? I've heard a lot of stuff about how it's mostly people in Rexburg, like people that actually touch shoulders with one another, but like, how did he promote himself? Because yeah, he had books, but like, how did he promote that? How did he get the word out? Who was buying his books? Like, how did he even create a group of people? Because like, I always think this. So the only name I knew, I got fix these gosh dang pants. I'm gonna snap. Gosh. All I knew is that Lori had the only name I had ever heard in this group was a long time ago. I don't know when that was. Maybe 2016, maybe as far back as that. She only mentioned the name Julie Rowe a few times. Julie Rowe. And I was like, I don't know who that is. So she told me, she didn't even tell me the content of the book. She didn't say anything. She just was reading these books. Cause like everywhere we went, when we would go, yeah, you know, it must have been all the way back in, what's it called? In Hawaii, because we'd go like to the beach and all of us would be hanging out and she'd be reading a book. And so finally something happened where she said it. So I'm just wondering how, so the way that Lori got involved with Chad was Julie Rowe. Julie Rowe was like a big figure to Lori in some way, I guess, because she was reading her books. And I think that's how that connection happened. Is that she must have heard about Chad from Julie Rowe and then went to those conference things to go meet him. But I think I heard something about Melanie inviting her to the conference, or they met at a conference and then Melanie Gibb introduced Chad and Lori or something of that nature. They must have fallen for each other quick, like two idiots.
Speakers to come in and vendors.
And have you been a speaker at some of these preparing a people events?
Yes.
And the reason that you've been a speaker is because of what?
Because of my conversion to the faith, and because of the doctrines that I came to understand.
Okay. And
To build faith.
And so you've participated in these podcasts, or sometimes they're called firesides. Is that right?
Yes.
And you've given talks or speeches about the second coming of Jesus. Is that right?
About my dreams and visions.
So would you call yourself a visionary man?
Yeah. Others have called me that. I don't call myself anything.
So on your speeches or your podcasts, have you shared your visions with other people?
Yes.
And you've had visions of secret combinations.
I did my chair backwards because if I sit up, I lean the way you're supposed to be able to rock,
Taking place in Washington, D.C.
Judge,
Yes.
I'm going to object at this point. I fail to see the continued relevance of this.
Goes to his credibility, Your Honor. The state brought this up, not me.
It is, I think it's
Judge,
appropriate.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, I haven't ruled yet.
I know, I apologize, Your Honor.
What was your comment? Go ahead.
I was just going to ask under Rule 16, comment 610
Oh,
is
homie wanted polygamy. He wanted to be a prophet and he wanted multiple wives. And tell me right now if I'm wrong, that if Chad would have got one more girl on board with him and could start having a relationship, and Lori had her policy, Lori would not be on the list. Lori would have been gone the day that he became the beneficiary of that, because he would have had something else and he probably would have waited his perfect time to get rid of her. Tell me I'm wrong. Robbie for some new pants or a date. That's so funny. Thank you. Yeah, guys. Sometimes, I'm not going to get off on a tangent here about my gosh dang pants, but I did put my chair, the main part of my chair, backwards. So I actually lean up super far. The chair goes this way instead of like back, where it's supposed to give you that rock. And so when I do that, a lot of sliding happens and it's just uncomfortable. So sorry about that. Next time, we know two things on this channel. Don't wear these pants that I'm wearing, and don't wear a button-up shirt, because some reason I'm going to bust up out of it.
that impugning somebody's religious beliefs or going beyond the scope of this trial is impermissible cross-examination.
Well, that door opened a long time
Embarrassing,
ago in
man.
this
You guys are
case. I
watching
think
them.
with the context of the state's evidence, we'll keep that rule in mind. I appreciate you bringing that up. At this point, I do think we're still within the scope of permissible cross-examination given the direct examination, so I'll overrule the objection.
You've given talks about visions of secret combinations in Washington, D.C. Is that correct?
Yes.
You've given talks about visions of secret combinations in England and Saudi Arabia. Is that right?
Yes.
You've given talks about evil entities in England, right?
No, I'm not sure where that one's going.
Okay. You've seen visions of Russia and China invading the United States.
Yes.
It's that movie, bro, where this happens. The one that they remade with Josh Peck and Thor. Come on, somebody. It starts with Red something. It's literally the plot of that movie. The invasion. I think it's the Russians invade. Red something, bro. Red Dawn. Red Dawn, is that it? You guys got to know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's the plot of the movie. So your visions are also pop culture, and I understand that any of this stuff is possible. Yeah, there you go. Red Dawn. Come on now. Come on. But what are we doing in life here? The Russians are coming. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying it's nothing's possible, but a lot of it's just so much speculation. Here's always going to be my question. There's just a lot of people who are so focused on the end of times. How can we possibly sit here and to waste our lives that we're living today to do everything we can to just constantly think and only worry about the end of times? You know, that's a miserable life. I live like that. I used to think, oh, the end is coming because that's all I ever heard from Lori. So you gotta, is it smart to have some preparations and for every situation? Sure. To obsess on it all the time and start pitching people that all these people are going to get attacked, like all the earthquakes they try to predict, all this stuff, dude. Exactly. That's why they're they're so delusional, because their brains are just spread and they just don't know how to just be present. It's huge.
You've seen visions of Russia and China attacking the United States military and defeating us in 3 days.
I gotta get to Iceland too.
You've seen visions of the United States being sacrificed for a one world government, right?
I don't know where that one came from.
You've been, well, I didn't make this up.
Well, the context is what's being avoided. That's why it's difficult here. So,
Okay. So what's the concept about
Have a good
the
night.
United States being sacrificed for a one world government?
Judge, objection again on that concept. I mean, relevance.
All right, at this point, Mr. Archibald, I do think we're getting away from the evidence of the case and direct. So if you could tie this in some way, if it does, if not, I'll sustain the objection.
You talked about having a vision while at Lori Vallow's home in September of 2019. You told that to the prosecutor, right?
Objection misstates the evidence.
Overruled. If the witness can answer, you can correct if that's misstating evidence.
I had a nightmare.
So a nightmare and a vision are two different things.
Yeah.
So how do you define a nightmare versus a vision?
Well, it's like whatever the nightmare was about, it was like I was living in it.
And a vision is just pretend?
No, a vision is when you're observing and you're being shown.
No, they didn't make a good argument there. I'm sorry. That was a horrible way to put that. Yeah. A nightmare, you can have, I've had a million really realistic dreams. Like when you wake up, you go, how in the world is that not real life? Like, where am I, kind of thing. This idea that you just pop visions all the time, bro, is dangerous, because your delusional state of like daydreaming, that's a good question, only is how do you define those things? How do you define a vision versus a dream? But he literally just said they're the same exact thing. Obviously we know most of the time, I think this idea of visions, like biblically, you're fully aware of what's going on. You're awake and you see something very clearly, kind of like how John in the Revelation had a vision, things of that nature. A dream's a dream. We know that, because that's just how it works. Kelsey, men who never bore babies saying the pant word. No, we shop in the pant. Anybody? Oh man.
So both a vision and a nightmare are real.
No.
No, not necessarily.
So can you further explain the difference between a vision and a nightmare? How one works and not the other one?
The vision is when you're being shown, when you're being shown things when you're seeing the future, but you're not seeing yourself. Somebody else is presenting it.
And so your visions come from who?
The ones I talked about came from angels under God.
And your nightmare comes from who?
It was very adversarial. It was consumed. It was a lot of fear and a lot of darkness, and there was no order to it.
So the fear and darkness came from who?
Well, it was adversarial. I don't know who it came from, but.
And when you say adversarial, are you talking about the devil?
I would say it was from that direction.
That direction.
An angel of the devil?
Could have been.
There's no angels of devils.
You've had these visions and nightmares throughout your time that you knew Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, and Melanie Gibb. Is that right?
No, I just had that experience that night.
Okay. So on the night that you were in Rexburg.
He's got that same vibe, man. That same quiet, slow talking. I don't want to compare him to Chad, but just closer in that tone. Just flat, absolutely no inflection, no life behind it. Just slow, deep voice.
You wanted to get a blessing from Chad Daybell. Is that right?
Well, Melanie was just said, I think you need to get a blessing. I'm going to go see if I can get Lori to get Chad. So
And
I was, I just agreed. I was distraught.
And what is a blessing?
It's when it's exercised under the direction of the priesthood to bless you with deliverance, comfort, or healing, or guidance.
So you wanted a blessing from Chad Daybell.
Well, Melanie just offered to get it. I was in a position where I wasn't all there. I was really struggling with whatever. I just remember it was horrified with what I was seeing.
What'd you see?
And so what would a blessing from Chad Daybell do for you?
Give us just a moment.
What did David dream? Did he ever say that? Maybe I missed it or I'm forgetting already. All right.
Not by your night. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You and Melanie were in the same room when this nightmare happened.
Yes.
And you were sleeping in JJ's room.
Yes.
And you were woken up by your nightmare.
Yes.
And then you woke up Melanie.
She woke me up because I was, she could tell that something was going on. So
And so you agreed.
Stop, Visa. I can't with this group. I can't with this group, bro. Just, gosh. Oh. All right, so I just want to address what you guys are saying. A lot of you are saying that he heard everything. The only thing that's weird, if he heard it, is the added part that Melanie would go to get Lori to get Chad for a blessing. That's the only thing I struggle with. I mean, obviously, all this could be lied. I don't know. But I don't think they did it in the house. They had an empty house. What was an empty house for? Why would you have an empty freaking house? I think that had to be the place that they planned. I don't know. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I don't know. I can't tell you. That's complete speculation, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't have an answer there. I can give you my thoughts, but I'm just trying to be as logical with all the illogical things, but there's also certain things that, yeah, exactly. If his why would they go and risk that? That's the thing. Why would they do that? But I don't know. I'll never know, and I don't necessarily know if I want to know, but it's just my thoughts.
Maybe we woke each other up. I don't know.
And so you agreed to seek help from Chad Daybell.
Yes.
And did Chad Daybell come?
No.
When had you seen this scratch on Chad's neck from JJ?
He pointed it out, but it was pretty minor.
You didn't see the scuffle, but Chad,
No, I didn't.
but Chad told you about it.
Yes.
You know what happened there? Chad was probably talking about zombies, and they knew it.
And when Chad told you that his wife's time was up, that he had a dream she would die, did you believe that?
I wasn't certain to what to believe at that point.
He was teaching about the 144,000. Is that a concept you're familiar with?
Yes.
And tell us what you understand that to be.
All I understand is during the time of the tribulation that God's going to have 144,000 that will cover the earth to gather his elect and to help gather his people and help deliver them from the trying circumstances.
And have you wanted to be part of the 144,000?
No, I mean, it would be an honor, but it's nothing I was seeking.
And I think you told the prosecutor that you didn't think Chad had the authority to gather.
No.
Hey,
Who
there you
do
go.
think
There's something.
has that authority?
The prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And who is that?
Well, now it's President Russell M. Nelson.
Okay. So that's where your disagreement with Chad Daybell was who had authority to do that.
Yes.
Had you ever heard of the Church of the Firstborn before?
I just see it in the scriptures, but
Yeah. Where in the scriptures?
Doctrine and Covenants.
And what's the Doctrine and Covenants?
It's a canonized scripture of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
So is the Church of the Firstborn is that in the Holy Bible?
No,
It could be.
it's not.
Is it in the New Testament or the Old Testament?
Nope.
It could be.
It's
I'm
not. Could
not
be.
recalling
It's
all
not
this
in-
right
it's
now.
Not in there.
Is the Church of the Firstborn mentioned in the Book of Mormon?
I don't know.
And who is John the Beloved?
The close disciple of Jesus Christ.
So John the Beloved was told something about the Church of the Firstborn. Is that what you learned from Chad? Or how did those two concepts go together?
I just heard that that's where he had
Yes.
gotten his authority from.
The person that the LDS church puts in charge of the church, there's a hierarchy for the LDS people. There's the prophet, and then they call them apostles, and then they like run down this whole huge chain of command thing. So yes, they would, he's like the leader of the whole thing.
From
That's where Chad had gotten his authority from.
yes.
And these are the kinds of things that you talk about on your podcasts.
No.
What do you talk about on your podcast?
On the podcast, I go into topics like fasting, and then a lot of them were the conversion, coming where I came from, and the conversion stories, some experiences from the time I was converted up through my mission, serving the LDS mission. And so, but they were in the context to build faith. They weren't in the context of seeking these things. They were as experiences as results.
I think that's the idea there. So the prophet from the LDS church is supposed to be like the closest person to God, like personal revelations to God. My thing is, I've tried to tell you guys, like as a Christian, my biggest lesson has been like, you have to make sure you seek the voice of God for you. That's the whole point of everything. That's why that when Jesus died, he broke all that stuff. He broke all of the old things and brought in the new. He told, you're supposed to come and find me because he will direct you. And I think my personal belief is just being really careful with people. You can see how Chad Daybell did this. Chad Daybell pulled that idea that you're following this, right? You're following a person. So then you end up just following another person who you think is more spiritual and this and that. Just discern. Go and discern and try to understand that you're being pulled to relationship with God above anything else, right? There's nothing wrong with going to a pastor for certain things, but you don't want to make sure that your pastor replaces God. That's the point. Just be careful when it's about people over what you're trying to figure out with God. That's the whole invitation from Jesus.
Result of repentance and faith and service.
And so when you agreed to do a podcast with Chad and Lori and Melanie on Sunday night in Rexburg, Idaho, what was the topic of that podcast?
First off, there was just Melanie and Lori. Chad was not part of it.
Okay. And so what was the podcast with Melanie and Lori about?
It's about sanctification, and I'm trying to remember what the actual topic was.
What does sanctification mean?
Well, it's when you're as you repent and serve God, and as you prove faithful to Him, your heart, the Lord changes your heart, makes you clean, makes you whole, and endows you with greater faith.
And your audience for this podcast was, again, who?
These questions I don't understand the relevance here. I never understand the defense's relevance. I don't ever, like, what are you beating on here? I can't even figure out your goal. Is your goal to discredit him, make him look crazy, make Chad look crazy? Like, what's your goal?
It was preparing the people, and there was camps, the preparedness camps. Sometimes I went and spoke at those. So I just a lot of it was not really venues. It was more like camps and organized firesides, family reunions, and I would be invited to either speak or or invited to do an interview and cover a topic.
And so, being invited to speak at a preparedness camp, what topics would you talk about?
Judge, I'm going to object. I mean, I understand it's cross your honor, but at some point it becomes irrelevant.
I'll sustain the objection on relevance. I think we're beyond the scope of tying into the evidence of the case at this point, Mr. Archibald.
So, your whole purpose was to get ready for the second coming of Christ in these podcasts?
No,
What was your purpose?
whole purpose was to build faith and to help identify stumbling blocks to faith, and also to help identify the fruits of faith, and to help identify how involved our Father in heaven is with each one of us when we're truly trusting in his Son, Jesus Christ, and seeking his will.
He's on some medication and he's sick, so he could be loopy. I don't know. I don't know him.
Now, were you, when you left Lori's apartment on September 23rd, 2019, you
2013.
indicate that you were anxious to go visit your son in Pocatello?
Yes,
And did Melanie go with you there?
she did.
And that's the time that you say you did not see JJ.
Yes,
And did you call the police?
no, I didn't. Did not.
All right. You didn't have any reason to, right?
I didn't see any reason. Lori was one of the most sweetest, kindest, fun-loving. She was I really enjoyed her. She was a wonderful woman.
She was not wonderful. She's the poisonous dart frog. She is. I guess people think she's pretty. She's like, people are attracted to the way she looks or something of that nature, and then you go up and you actually interact with her and she kills you. That's the point.
This stuff kind of hit me that weekend, and I just wasn't. Anyway, I just didn't see it was like what they're teaching doesn't match what I see in their character. And so I kind of left a little confused and puzzled and trying to discern.
Well, their character was good, right?
Yeah, I saw goodness, yes.
And
I didn't see any reason to suspect.
all right. Thank you, sir.
All right, that's almost it, man. When did this cross
All right, that'll conclude cross-examination. Any redirect by the state?
or redirect? Sorry. Oh, here you go.
Defense counsel asked you about dreams and visions. I want to ask you about reality.
Okay.
The morning of the evening
I want to ask you about reality.
of September 22nd, who carried JJ up to bed?
Alex.
Alex.
Yeah, you said that.
And the morning of September 23rd, who told you where JJ was?
Lori Vallow.
And what did Lori Vallow say to you about what happened to JJ on the 23rd?
I don't know, man. Maybe they're big fans of pineapples. I don't know.
She said he was out of control and she couldn't control him, so she had Alex come and get him.
And when she said he was out of control, did she give you specific examples? Real examples of what she said out of control meant?
That's when she said that he climbed the cabinets in the fridge in the upper cabinet and pushed over her picture of Christ that sat on the top of the upper cabinets.
And did you see any evidence with
So
your
even if that story were true, which is, I guarantee you that did not happen. And then she said that JJ, who's 7 years old, said, "I love Satan." to make up some bullshit so they could kill him. Let's also go through if it did happen, if he at least climbed up. He's been through hell. One day his mom or his dad disappears. Then like what, a month and a half almost, they move. And he has his sister around and then a bunch of new people running out of the house. She gets a babysitter like she always did his whole life, by the way. She never didn't have a babysitter for JJ. She never watched him, even though she was a stay-at-home mom. So she could go do her stupid stuff she would do. And then he gets with a new babysitter. His sister disappears, literally never to be seen again by JJ, who JJ loved. He can't talk to his grandparents. And then Chad Daybell shows up trying to discipline him. And then let's say he climbs up and knocks over her picture. Can you imagine thinking that he wouldn't be in pure stress and distraught and doesn't even know how to process that at all? Just feels, who knows what he was feeling. He's a routine child. He needed his routines. He needed structure. He needed it more than probably a lot of other kids need it. All kids need that. JJ was particular. JJ wanted and needed a very, structured life. You took everything from him and then kill him. And you really think that you could even say, and then he just goes out of nowhere and goes, I love Satan. Are you kidding me? Come on now. He never said that. That never happened. Ever.
Own eyes that any damage had occurred that would be consistent with JJ climbing the cabinet.
No, I didn't see any scuffs on the fridge, and I didn't see any bent door hinges and the crown molding. That's the way it's fastened. It would have popped off if he would have gotten up there.
Okay. And so when she said that, what did she say she did with JJ?
She just called Alex and just said that you need to come and get him. I can't handle him.
Okay. And then she said she sent JJ with Alex.
Yeah.
Nothing further.
She just called.
All right, thank you.
She called her hitman.
That'll conclude then the testimony.
F this, bro. These people are so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Well, that's crazy. All she had to do was send one call, and Alex was willing to do whatever the hell he was told to do. Just listened like an idiot, and even had the stomach to do it. How do you have the stomach to do it? All right. Well, I don't want to go down with a low note. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for the love and support. I appreciate you guys every time we're on here. It's been a busy week for us, so we've been doing really good. We're pretty far down in the playlist. I don't know how much more we're gonna probably end up watching. I've looked at it a few times, but I know there's probably at least 3 to 4 more, and then the closing. So we got through it. Thank you guys for love and support. Mods, as always, thank you. You guys are amazing. You guys do everything that we need in the background. It's definitely a hard thing to do. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being a part of our community. You guys have helped build this beautiful community, and it's been a beautiful thing to see all of you, see your stories. I'm glad we get to laugh, cry, and just live life together. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So thank you guys all for your chats. We will be live tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be our last day of this week. And then we're going to jump back in on Monday, and we'll probably be trying to finish up as fast as possible. It's a long one, man. It's a lot of stuff. Each person's is pretty long, so it's a lot. But love you guys. Thank you for all the likes, comments, and everybody who subscribed, all of our members. You guys are amazing. We have a bunch of just member exclusive content for you guys. We've got a bunch of vlogs that need to be uploaded for you too. And, it's been amazing. So with all that being said, have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you are in this world. Love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.